Hi there, and welcome to Caucuses, Primaries, Elections, Oh My, presented by YWCA Minneapolis. YWCA Minneapolis is a mission-driven, nonpartisan organization committed to being a resource to the community for civic engagement and education. 2020 is a big year for electoral politics, civic engagement, and democracy. This year we will elect not only the presidency, but federal, state, and local positions based on terms ending or seats being vacated. We will additionally vote on any referenda coming to the ballot for voters to decide on. What is a caucus? What is a primary? What do they do for us? There are many steps in our electoral process and some new ones this year. We'll go through them in the order they'll come about. We hope this presentation will leave you with a greater understanding of how the process works and how to participate. First, we'll discuss caucuses. A caucus is essentially a meeting run by a political party. One of the key differences between caucuses and primaries is that caucuses are run by organized political parties, and primaries are administered via state and local governments. Caucus meetings are run in each precinct, a hyper-local segment of a neighborhood area, and meetings are party-specific. In Minnesota, we currently have 4 major political parties: the Democratic Farmer-Labor Party, Grassroots Legalized Cannabis Party, Legal Marijuana Now Party, and the Republican Party of Minnesota. Caucuses begin with a caucus convener. This person may or may not be elected caucus chair to run the remainder of the evening's agenda. Caucuses are run using Robert's Rules of Order. The caucus chair will lead the way on this, but participants will need to make motions and secure seconds and votes on business. Nominations are made for elections. At the caucus, local units of the party may work on the following party business. First, electing precinct leadership, such as a precinct chair and vice chairs for the party. Second, promoting ideas, issues, and actions for the party to support. This is done via resolutions. Anyone participating in a caucus can bring a resolution or write one there. The resolutions are read out loud and voted on by the body. Resolutions that pass move on to the next highest level of party meeting for that year, conventions. These conventions may be the Senate District Convention, the House District Convention, or City Convention, depending on what areas have elections in that year. They will then be voted on at that stage as well. Resolutions are a way for the party to come together around shared values to guide the action and next steps of the party. Finally, electing delegates who will move on to endorsing conventions at the district, city, and state levels and beyond. Caucus attendees can be nominated to represent certain candidates. More on that in a moment. This year, precinct caucuses in Minnesota will be held on Tuesday, February 25th at 7 p.m. You can find your precinct caucus location through your political party or on the Secretary of State's website. At caucuses, candidates running for office are seeking the highest numbers of delegates to support them at conventions. These delegate numbers are used to secure nominations and party endorsements. Candidates or members of their campaigns may stop into precinct caucuses to make short speeches to those convened. Candidates at all levels from school board to state senate seek delegates for conventions. In years past, this process determined our state party's presidential nominees. This year, that will be decided through a presidential nominating primary. A few notes of importance. You have the right to have time off of work to attend your precinct caucus. You have the right to an interpreter at the caucus. 17-year-olds who will be 18 before or on the next following election day can participate in the caucus. Finally, the term caucus is also used to describe subgroups of lawmakers and leaders at our state capitol, such as the Senate Republican or Senate DFL caucus, or the Posse, People of Color and Indigenous caucus. These groups meet as a body and work together on shared objectives and goals, but the term is different than the caucus meetings used by parties. As previously mentioned, this year, Minnesota will have a presidential nominating primary election, or PNP, for the selection of major party nominees for president. The state of Minnesota has only used a PNP election 4 times before this, and this is the first one since 1992. Legislation to establish the 2020 PNP was passed in 2016. Minnesota will still hold precinct caucuses in addition to the presidential nominating primary. The PNP will be held on Tuesday, March 3rd, 1 week after precinct caucuses. Early and absentee voting is permitted in this election. For the presidential nominating primary, there are separate ballots for each political party. Voters in Minnesota are not registered to a certain political party, so on Election Day, voters will be asked what ballot they would like based on the political party they resonate with for this election. This is different than at our August primary or general elections, when split-ticket voting is permitted. The purpose of the presidential nominating primary election is for participating major political parties to have a presidential nominee selected by party voters. 2 of Minnesota's 4 major political parties are participating in the presidential nominating primary election, the Democratic Farmer-Labor Party and the Republican Party of Minnesota. Pictured here are sample ballots from the Secretary of State's website for each of these parties. Ballots were printed at the end of 2019, in time for early and absentee voting. Some candidacy may have changed in the interim. Reach out to your political party with questions. The Democratic Farmer-Labor Party ballot has an option aside from listed candidates for uncommitted as a voter option, but no write-in candidates. The Republican Party of Minnesota ballot has a write-in option aside from all listed candidates. Write-in answers will be put together and tallied in one big write-in pot, with the exception of 2 names provided by the Republican Party of Minnesota, Bill Weld and Rocky De La Fuente. These names, written in, will have their own tallies. It is up to each major party what will be listed on their ballot. A note on voter data. Voting lists are provided to the chairs of major political parties following all elections. Due to the partisan nature of the PNP, there has been increased discussion about voter data. What follows is language directly from the Minnesota Secretary of State's office. Quote, "A voter's choice of party ballot will be recorded and is private data. However, a list of who voted in a presidential nomination primary and the political party each voter selected will be provided to the chair of each major political party. How a voter voted on the ballot will be secret." End quote. So, there's another primary election? Yes. The PNP is new this year, but Minnesota holds primary elections in advance of general elections. Minnesota's primary election will be on Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. A primary election determines which candidates will appear on the general election ballot in November. In 2020, the primary election will be focused on state and local races, as we will have determined presidential nominees at the PNP in March. Both partisan and nonpartisan offices will be listed on the primary ballot. The 2020 general election will take place on Tuesday, November 3rd. The electoral activities of the year will have narrowed down the ballot to the final candidates and issues for Minnesotans to vote on. This graphic from the Minnesota Secretary of State's office shows the elections that all voters will have on their ballots: U.S. President, U.S. Senator, U.S. Representative, State Senator, State Representative, and judicial seats. Also listed are races you may see on your ballot based on the county and/or municipality that you live in. Early, absentee, and day of voting are permitted for this election. In Minnesota, you can register in advance of an election or same day at the polls. Voter eligibility in the state includes being a U.S. citizen, being at least 18 years of age on Election Day, having lived in Minnesota for the 20 days leading up to the election, and being finished with all parts of a felony sentence, including probation and supervised release. To register ahead of elections, you can drop off or mail in a paper form or register online. You will need a Minnesota driver's license or ID card number or the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. 17-year-olds can register to vote if they will be 18 before or on the next election day. You can register for the next election anytime, but in the 10 days leading up to an election, your registration may not be updated before Election Day. These 10 days are when voter books are prepared for the polls. In this case, and other cases, you can register on Election Day. Minnesotans can register same day at the polls. To do so, you will need to do the following. Bring a Minnesota driver's license or identification card that lists your current name and address. Or, bring a photo ID as well as a document that lists both your current name and address. An example of this would be bringing an out-of-state ID if you've recently moved, or a student ID, as well as bringing your residential lease or a bill or banking statement that has your address and name together. You can also be vouched for by a registered voter who can confirm your address. There are circumstances in which additional types of registration are permitted. For voter registration questions about any of the circumstances listed here or that you do not see, contact the Secretary of State's office. In Minnesota, there are several ways to cast your vote. They are outlined here. Voters can vote day of at the polls. Typical polling place hours for most elections are from 7 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Voters have the right to take time off of work without penalty to vote at their polling place and return to their place of work. In Minnesota, you can get voter assistance at the polls. A designated helper can assist you in the polling place with limits. Additionally, Minnesota has curbside voting. If you will have difficulty leaving your vehicle, you can ask for a ballot to be brought out to you from the polling place. Voters can vote by mail, early and up to Election Day, also known as absentee voting. An absentee ballot application can be submitted online or turned into your county election office. Voters should mail their absentee ballots with some lead time. Ballots received after Election Day will not be counted. Voters can also vote early in person at their designated county election office. Early and absentee voting begins 46 days before election dates. You may have noticed the Minnesota Secretary of State's office being referenced at several points throughout this presentation. Among many other things, the Office of the Secretary of State works statewide in all of Minnesota's counties to administer election law. This office is a trusted resource for information about elections, voting, and election administration. The Secretary of State's office has additional resources on registering to vote, finding your caucus location or polling place, viewing sample ballots, understanding special elections, and more information about political parties, filing for office in Minnesota, how elections work, and more. If you're interested in becoming more involved and civically engaged this year, some opportunities are listed here. Attending and participating in precinct caucuses. Voting if you are able. Helping to register voters and get out the vote. Answering questions about upcoming civic engagement opportunities. Serving as an election judge at the polls. A quick note about this. If you are interested in becoming an election judge within the City of Minneapolis and want to support YWCA Minneapolis and our work in doing so, please reach out to the email address listed at the end of this presentation. The City of Minneapolis is looking for election judges who meet certain criteria, and YWCA Minneapolis is participating in the CORE program, which stands for Charitable Organizations Recruiting for Elections. Election judges recruited through our organization, whether paid or volunteer, help us get some funds for our racial justice and public policy work. We appreciate your consideration. Let us know if you have questions. Filling out the census and engaging in conversation about the census. Continuing to learn with workshops, books, podcasts, articles, and the arts. And much more. Think creatively about ways you can be involved and what you care deeply about, and let us know how we can be supportive. We hope this presentation has answered some of your questions and given you a deeper understanding of how our elections will proceed this year. Please reach out to us with additional questions that come up. YWCA Minneapolis is a resource for you, and we are happy to answer questions about upcoming elections, the 2020 census, or state and local advocacy. Visit our website for upcoming events and workshops. We look forward to continued collaboration to eliminate racism, empower women and girls, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Thank you.